Today we're going to review Chapter 6. Chapter 6 has a lot of vocab words, so we're going to take this time and allow you to write the words and the definitions so they're available for the entire chapter. You may want to write index cards and flashcards to help you. The first vocab word is percent proportion, which is found in Lesson 3. Percent proportion is a proportion which you've seen before. The first ratio is the part or the piece over the whole thing or the entire thing. And the second ratio is the percent over 100. And it's always over 100 because that's what a percent is out of. The second vocabulary word is percent equation, which is an equation, so you're going to have that equal sign. And the equation is part equals percent times whole. And you just need to remember that you have to write the percent as a decimal. The third vocab word is percent of change, which is found in Lesson 5. This is a ratio that compares how much something changed over what the original amount was. And you're going to have to memorize this formula.
Okay, the next vocabulary word that we're going to talk about is percent of increase. And percent of increase, this is another formula that you're going to need to memorize. It's the amount of increase over the original amount. So how much something increased over the original. And the percent of decrease is just the amount of the decrease over the original amount. So how much it went down. The sixth vocabulary word is percent error. And percent error is very similar to the three before, but it's the amount of the error or the amount of the mistake over the actual amount.
The seventh vocabulary word is sales tax. When you go shopping and you have to pay for something, most of the time they have to add tax. So it's money that's being added on to the items that you're buying. So it's additional money that you have to pay. The eighth vocabulary word is tip, which is also called gratuity. And that's when you're giving some extra money in return for a favor, for a service. So your waiter or your waitress, you're giving them extra money, you're giving them a tip. If you take a cab and you're driving somewhere, you can give some extra money, just as a little thank you. Ninth vocabulary word is markup. Markup is the amount the price of an item is increased above what the store paid. So if I'm an owner of a store and I have to buy items from the manufacturer, I don't want to sell it for the same price because I'm not making any profit. So I'm going to make the price even higher. So now I get the money back that I spent, but I'm getting extra money back, and that's how people make their profits. The 10th vocabulary word is selling price, and that's the amount the customer pays for an item. The 11th vocabulary word is discount, which is also called markdown, and that's how much the item was reduced.
Okay, the last two vocabulary words for this unit, number 12 is principal. Principal is the amount of money that you either deposit or borrow. And we talk about that when we talk about interest or when we talk about going to the bank. And vocab word number 13 is simple interest. And it's the amount that you pay, that's paid or earned for the use of your money. When you borrow money from a bank or from something like that, they charge you interest to borrow that money. And there's a formula. It's interest equals TRT. The I stands for interest. The P stands for the principal, which is how much money you borrowed. The R stands for the rate, and rate is the percent written as a decimal. And T stands for time. So our interest equals principal times rate times time. And the time is always in years.
Now that you're done writing all your vocabulary words down, we're going to refresh your memory on how to change percents to fractions and fractions to decimals and decimals to percent and all that stuff. So let's write this chart on your paper and let's go ahead and practice. 60%. We're going to change it to a fraction first. Remember, percent is always out of 100. So you're going to write 60 over 100. And then you're going to simplify. You can just put that right in your calculator, 60 ABC 100, and you get 3/5. To change a percent to a decimal, you're really dividing by 100. 60 divided by 100, but you learned the trick. All you need to do is move that decimal back 2 places, so you get 0.6. Now, what if we give you the fraction 2/5? To change it, you have to actually do that division. You could check it on your calculator by doing 2ABC5 and then second PRB it, but we're going to want to see the work. Remember, the top number goes inside the box. 5 does not go into 2. Add your decimal, add your 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times. And that brings you down to 0. So your decimal is 0.4. To change it to a percent, you just move that decimal back 2 places, and you get 40%. What if we give you a decimal? 0.35 or 35 hundredths as a percent. You just move that decimal 2 places and you get 35%. When you read it as a decimal using the proper language, it's 35 hundredths. There's your fraction, 35 hundredths. And then put that in your calculator and change it to simplified version, and you get 7/20. Now you have a sheet of your own. You are to now complete the chart on the sheet, and we will check it tomorrow and see if you have any questions.